Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to join my colleagues in recording the thanks of the Senate on Kenya's attempt for the position of the chairperson of the African Union Commission, AUC. Mr. Speaker, I want to begin by saying that this is an important debate, a debate that was moved very well by the majority leader. But when debate began, then I wondered what happened between the time that he moved the motion and when the debate began. Because from one side of his mouth, he said that he would want to listen to opinion and views from members as to where we may have gone wrong and lost this seat. But on the other side of his mouth, he is insisting that we got it right. And so I wonder then, what are we going to be debating? The Speaker, having said that, I want to begin by thanking His Excellency the Right Honorable Raila Odinga for offering himself to vie for this continental seat. The Speaker, the decision to offer himself in itself, Mr. Speaker, was a true demonstration of courage and the spirit of Pan-Africanism. I liked and envied the energy of His Excellency Raila Odinga. That, Mr. Speaker, he was able to move to every corner of the continent to convince presidents and heads of government to support his bid. That energy, Mr. Speaker, was really, really enviable. Mr. Speaker, the thing that really touched my heart was the fact that His Excellency Raila Odinga kept his cool throughout this process. From the campaigns, even to the election date and the announcement of the results, our leader kept his cool. And I remember, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, there are people who think that they are closer to these leaders than some of us. I want to actually disabuse that notion. That, Mr. Speaker, before the Right Honorable Raila Odinga went to Addis for the election, I spoke to him on Tuesday. And he was very clear in his mind what he was going to be doing. And to me, the words that ring to my mind to date is that if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. Whether I win or I lose, I'm a Kenyan, I am a Pan-Africanist. Mr. Speaker, that is courage beyond measure. And I want to congratulate him for having that courage to go for the seat. Mr. Speaker, when Raila Odinga went for this position, it was not about him, it was not about his party or his coalition, it was about Africa. And it was about carrying the Kenyan flag highly on the African scene. And Mr. Speaker, His Excellency Raila Odinga did not disappoint. He carried the flag of our republic on the continental scene and did the best that he could. We want to congratulate him, Mr. Speaker. We also want to thank the presidents that voted for him, Mr. Speaker. Garnering 22 votes throughout, Mr. Speaker, I think 3 or 4 election cycles, Mr. Speaker, is not a simple feat. We want to thank the presidents that had faith in his leadership and voted for him. Mr. Speaker, there is another notion that I want to debunk from the floor of the Senate. The people who say that His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga does not accept defeat. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency himself conceded defeat on the floor of the Mandela House during this election. What I want to say to those people who say that Raila does not accept or concede defeat is that if he loses fairly, he will accept as he did in Addis Ababa. If he loses unfairly, he will contest that election. He has done that before, and for that courage, I also want to thank and congratulate him. Mr. Speaker, Kenya may have lost the election. We may not have brought the African seat home. But I want to say that to a very great extent, as a country, we won our space on the African continent. And let us continue to try as much as we can to be the pride of the region. Mr. Speaker, let me also congratulate the winner of the election, Mahamoud Youssouf, and wish him well. We shall live to fight this battle another day. The Speaker, having said that, the question that the majority leader posed, and I would have wished that he was here, on what it is that we could have done wrong, what could we have done better? Mr. Speaker, I think that's where the conversation should sit. Mr. Speaker, it is very, very unfortunate that our foreign policy does not seem to be serving our national and regional interests in the way that it should. The Speaker, I heard Senator Onyonka being put to task to substantiate the obvious. As a Speaker, I just want to urge our colleagues, all of us, to be truthful to facts and the reality of our time. The Speaker, when in December of 2023, the Congo River Alliance, bringing together opposition politicians from DRC and the March 23 grouping, the rebel group, in Nairobi, and they launched the operation in Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, it is open to everyone, even school children, that on that account alone, Kinshasa withdrew their envoy from Kenya in protest. It's on the record. At the same time, Kinshasa even threatened to withdraw from the East African community and actually recalled their ambassador who was sitting in Tanzania. As for the question that we should ask ourselves is, if we had handled this matter of M23 in Nairobi differently, would the results have been different? Those are the questions, Mr. Speaker, that we're asking ourselves. And as leaders, we cannot. Mr. Speaker, I listen to colleagues speak at times and I wonder, if His Excellency the Right Honorable Engineer Raila Amolo Odinga was speaking the language of some leaders who speak on the floor of this house when he was our age, where would he be today? Where would this country be today? The Speaker, Raila Amolo Odinga is not a person that is given to psychophancy or praise singing. He will say it as it is. And I'm very sure on the matter of the activities of M23 and the the Congo River Alliance, the activities in Nairobi, I'm very sure. I don't even to ask him. I'm very sure he takes a very different view from the view taken by the executive, the National Executive of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, today, you know, the quest for the AUC chairmanship is not the end of Kenya's quest for leadership in the region. There will be other positions that other Kenyans are suitable for. And I want, for the avoidance of doubt, to state that some of us consistently have believed in the leadership of Raila Amolo Odinga. We have campaigned for him. We have voted for him for many, many years. The people that speak here as though they know and support Raila Amolo Odinga more than other people have never voted for him, even once. If anything, they have demonized him the most. Mr. Speaker, the engagement of Kenya and our neighbors is not ending with the end of the elections in Addis Ababa. Mr. Speaker, what we allowed to happen on our capital yesterday, Mr. Speaker, was not right. And we must tell this government as much. To allow the rapid support, their involvement in the crisis in Darfur, the killings, the torture, the maiming of people, Mr. Speaker. And we allow those groups to come to Nairobi and pretend to form a government of Sudan from Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. What do we expect? What do we expect, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I want to say that we have not had the last from the administration of General Buran, who is now running some form of administration from Port Said. These people have messed up their country. Our role as a neighbor should be to help these people come together and rebuild their country, not to take sides with one rebel group against the other rebel group. Mr. Speaker, that move, it is those kind of moves, Mr. Speaker, that we are saying, you know, the M23 move, Mr. Speaker, let's just face it. On account of the Congo River Alliance being formed in Nairobi, and the fighting now in eastern DRC, the takeover of towns, South Africa has lost many soldiers. Tanzania has lost many soldiers. Let us just ask ourselves as human beings. The president of South Africa, the president of Tanzania, the president of DRC Congo, when they went to cast the ballot, in that reality, where were they likely to cast their ballot? Speaker, these are the questions that we should ask ourselves. And stop being psychophantic or emotional about things that we can see as leaders are not going the right direction. Now, Speaker, I want to advise. And I keep saying that I am maybe the least qualified to advise the National Executive. The Speaker, this country belongs to all of us. Those who support the current administration and those who don't. We all belong to this country. And Mr. Speaker, the presidency of this country is not coming to an end with the end of the term of office of President William Ruto. Beyond him, there will be presidents. Before him, there are presidents. The thing that we must do, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that while he sits in office, we have a stable country. A country with a very robust and good foreign policy that protects the national interest, but also takes care of the regional interest and the global interest. I like what Senator Eddie said. Mr. Speaker, being at the continental scene is not just about the continent. It's about our engagement with the outside world. It's about a continental economic bloc. Mr. Speaker, as a country, as Kenya, we must make sure that we play a rightful role in that conglomeration, Mr. Speaker. We cannot be a country that is pushed to the periphery on matters foreign policy, while in pursuit of interests that could be very, very personal. Mr. Speaker, lastly, I want to reiterate that I heard Senator Cherage make a very loose comment about the people that have stood with His Excellency Raila Odinga when he fought for the Constitution, democracy. The Speaker, I don't agree with Senator Cherage a lot. On this one, I agree with him. I want to ask him to go and check his records and tell this country who those leaders he's talking about are. Those leaders who never believed in the provisions of this constitution that Raila Odinga pushed for. Those leaders whose business, the primary business, was to demonize Raila Odinga and what he stood for then. Where I come from, Mr. Speaker, as a Christian, new converts have a lot of zeal. People who convert to the faith, they have a lot of zeal. And they believe that maybe they have gotten saved today and tomorrow they are going to heaven. So they have a lot of zeal. Mr. Speaker, those of us who are old in that religion, our work is to just tamper the zeal and tell them to cool it down. The world will come to an end. Jesus Christ will come back. But it will happen at the fullness of his timing, not at our timing. The new converts in the political scene in Kenya, I want to tamper their zeal. Let them move slowly, Mr. Speaker. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. I support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator David.